The red tally light on the NBC camera is already burning when Michael Jackson hits the last sharp beat of Billie Jean at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium, February 1983, and for half a breath, the whole room feels like it's holding its money and its pride at the same time. The fedora is tilted, the single white rhinestone glove is aflare in the stage wash. One step lands on a taped mark on the floor, and the danger is simple. If this goes wrong on Motown's 25th anniversary, it doesn't just embarrass a singer, it embarrasses an empire on national television. Behind the curtain at Motown 25, the sound is not music first, it's headsets, clipboards, and the quiet authority of a run-of-show sheet. Producers in suits, stage managers with stopwatches, assistants clutching cue cards, all of it points to control. Motown built its legend by controlling the frame, what America saw, when it saw it, and how it sounded coming out of a living room speaker. Weeks earlier, the anniversary special isn't a stage yet. It's a negotiation table, a schedule, and a promise of ratings with a date stamped on it. Motown 25 is being sold as history packaged for primetime, an NBC broadcast, a commemorative night, a celebration that keeps the label's mythology clean and profitable. In that world, the artist is supposed to be part of the mural, not the brush that redraws it. Berry Gordy's name hangs over the project like a signature on a contract, even when he isn't in the room. The label's past is a power story, assembly lines of hits, polish as armor, crossover as strategy, and by 1983, that strategy carries extra weight. Black brilliance on American television still comes with invisible rules. Be undeniable, but don't disrupt the program. Michael's problem is that disruption is exactly what his new life sounds like. Billie Jean is not a Motown single, it's an adult solo record with a different kind of heat, and it's already moving through radios like a private rumor turned public fact. The song carries its own object, its bass line, and once that bass line starts, it doesn't feel like a medley, it feels like a takeover. According to accounts from people around productions like this, the resistance wasn't mystical, it was practical and political. A medley is safe, a medley honors the brand, a medley keeps the anniversary centered on Motown, not on one man's new kingdom. A solo spotlight, especially on a non-Motown song, risks turning a label celebration into a Michael Jackson event. So the word no lands the way corporate words land, quietly, confidently, with the implication that the schedule is more important than the person. It shows up in meetings, in careful phrasing, in someone pointing to the program like scripture. Motown 25, Pasadena Civic Auditorium, NBC, 3 names that sound like a wall you're not supposed to climb. But Michael is not asking politely for space on that wall. He's arriving with choreography. Rehearsal in Pasadena is where the power gets physical. Taped X's on the stage, lighting cues marked to the second, camera positions plotted like chess pieces. The control is visible, white gaffer tape, black stage, bright overheads, and the argument becomes whose marks matter more, the tape on the floor or the ambition in his body. The wardrobe choice is already a statement before any step happens. Black pants with a razor crease, a sequined jacket that throws light back at the audience, the single glove that reads like a signal flare. Those are objects, not accessories. On television, objects become icons faster than faces do, and this night is built to be replayed. Some insiders later claimed the compromise language was slippery, something like after the Jackson set, or keep it brief, or not that song. And that's how a no survives in show business, not as a screamed refusal, but as a maze of conditions, so if the artist breaks free, the system can pretend it never locked the door. Backstage at the Pasadena Civic Auditorium, the stakes tighten into a single question that hangs in the corridor air. Is the broadcast remembering Motown, or is Motown borrowing Michael to remember itself? The answer depends on one object, the run-of-show sheet, and whether a line labeled Billie Jean is allowed to exist. On performance day, the hallway clock doesn't care about legacy, it cares about minutes. A stage manager's headset crackles, a producer taps a clipboard, a camera operator checks a lens, and somewhere near the curtain, the final ultimatum is felt more than heard, because if he does the solo, it could mean a bruised relationship, an angry executive, a broken agreement, a label humiliated at its own birthday party. Michael stands close enough to the stage entrance to hear the crowd's pitch change when the Jacksons finish the medley, close enough to see the light spill from the proscenium like a doorway to judgment. The glove catches a stray beam, the fedora brim hides his eyes, and the no that was supposed to end the conversation is now a cliff edge, because the next step is either obedience on NBC or rebellion in front of America.
The next night isn't the performance yet. It's rehearsal pressure disguised as routine, still inside the Pasadena Civic Auditorium, where every cable on the floor looks like a boundary line. A stage manager reads cues into a headset. A floor director points at the taped marks like they're laws. And the same no that traveled through meetings now travels through gestures. A hand raised to pause music, a producer leaning in, a quick reminder that this is Motown 25, not a solo tour stop. At rehearsal, the run-of-show sheet becomes the weapon nobody admits is a weapon. It's paper, but it controls light, camera, and time. A producer can kill a moment without yelling, just by not printing it. Medley, then out, that kind of language. A celebration of a label's past, not a coronation of a new king. Michael's team is there too, orbiting him with that particular hush that follows a star who doesn't waste words. The objects in their hands say everything. Garment bags, a hat box, a glove case, a cassette or two. Wardrobe isn't just clothing on a broadcast like this, it's brand. And that single white glove waiting off stage is already telling the world that the Motown Kid is not the whole story anymore. The first escalation step is a compromise that doesn't feel like one. Do the Jackson 5 set, the room implies. Honor the roots. The Jacksons rehearse the classics that made the label money and made America comfortable. Synchronized lines, familiar melodies, nostalgia in a neat package. Camera operators can plan it, producers can predict it, Motown can recognize itself inside it. But then comes the second step. Michael wants the solo slot after the group number, and the temperature changes, because the request isn't just artistic, it's political. A solo slot says he's separate now. A solo slot says his adult success isn't an extension of Motown, it's a new flag planted in the same soil. Some accounts suggest the argument narrowed to a single forbidden thing, Billie Jean. Not the idea of Michael performing, but that specific song, because that song is tied to a different era and a different business arrangement. Billie Jean belongs to the moment, not the museum, and Motown 25 is designed to feel like a museum you can dance in. The third step is the quiet tightening of conditions. Keep it short, keep it after the medley, don't upstage the theme, don't change camera plans, don't demand extra time. The language is always about logistics, but the meaning underneath is ownership. Motown is celebrating itself on NBC. NBC is selling a clean, controlled narrative, and Michael is proposing a scene that can't be controlled once it starts. At rehearsal, the dialogue isn't shouted, it's clipped, professional, sharp in the way Hollywood sharpens everything. We're tight on time, we're already blocked, we can't rebuild the whole show. Every sentence points back to the run-of-show sheet, the object that gives executives power without touching the stage. Michael's response, according to people who've described his working style, is more precision than argument. He doesn't need a debate club to win this. He needs a camera cue, a music count-in, and the moment to be real. He knows what television does to truth. It turns it into myth if the frame is right. The fourth step is the stage itself becoming the battleground. In rehearsal lighting, that sequined jacket throws back the spotlight in violent little flashes. The fedora creates a shadow line across his face. The glove, even in dim backstage light, looks like a single bright word.
These objects are not just style, they're visual commands to a TV audience that doesn't know it's about to be commanded. And the choreography, this is where the system starts to lose, because choreography isn't something you can negotiate once it's in the body. Michael marks steps on the Pasadena stage with the calm focus of someone building a trap door under the entire show. Feet slide into position, shoulders hit angles. The pause between movements becomes part of the music. Even rehearsal has that gravitational pull. The fifth step is the nervous energy spreading through the crew. Camera operators whisper about whether they have the right lens for a solo. The floor director watches the stage like it might suddenly break into weather. Producers, people trained to keep the broadcast safe, start feeling the risk, not the risk of a mistake, the risk of a moment that makes the rest of the show look small. That's the thesis creeping closer, not spoken, but visible in the way the room reacts to Michael's readiness. Control versus spectacle. Motown's legacy is built on control, perfecting artists, perfecting sound, perfecting image. Michael's new power is spectacle with purpose, an artist not asking for permission to be historic. That morning, the day of the broadcast, the Pasadena Civic Auditorium becomes a clock. Makeup chairs, wardrobe racks, cue cards, a final production meeting. The run of show sheet gets revised in tiny ways that feel like battles won by inches. Somewhere, a line item exists or doesn't exist, and that determines whether Billie Jean is a rumor backstage or a reality on NBC. Backstage, the Jacksons run through their group set again, and the nostalgia is real, the kind that makes an audience feel safe. But the air around Michael is different. His jacket hangs ready. The fedora is nearby. The glove is waiting. These objects are quiet, but they scream promise. Then the final pre-performance escalation lands, a last reminder, delivered in that polite, dangerous tone. This is an anniversary show. This is not your concert. Don't steal the night. The warning isn't a threat with fists, it's a threat with relationships, with future invitations, with the invisible doors that open or close in entertainment. And yet, when the house lights go down and the NBC camera red lights come on, the control system has already lost something it doesn't know it lost: unpredictability. Because the only way to truly stop a moment like this is to never let the artist reach the stage with the objects in his hands. The Jackson 5 medley hits as planned. Voices, steps, nostalgia, exactly what the run of show sheet promised. The Pasadena crowd responds the way crowds respond to memory. The camera cues land. The producers exhale. For a second, it looks like Motown won. Then the medley ends, and Michael doesn't move like someone exiting. He moves like someone staying. The sequined jacket catches the light. The fedora comes into place. The glove flashes once like a signal to the camera that the next minute is not negotiable. He's still standing at the edge of the moment, right before the detonation, right before Billie Jean turns from forbidden title to live sound in the Pasadena Civic Auditorium. And the no that was supposed to keep history tidy is now trapped in the same room as a performer who's about to rewrite television with his feet.
The bass line hits like a door slamming, and suddenly Billie Jean is no longer a point of contention on a run of show sheet. It's air moving through the Pasadena Civic Auditorium on NBC. February 1983, Motown 25. The camera red light is on, the floor director is locked in, and Michael Jackson steps into the frame with the fedora low, the sequined jacket throwing light like broken glass, the single white glove announcing itself with every small flick of his wrist. The first action is restraint. He doesn't sprint into the chorus, he stalks it. He lets the beat build a corridor around him. His feet land with surgical precision on the stage marks that were supposed to guide a medley, not a revolution. The gesture is the message. This is not a guest appearance. This is a claim. The reaction begins before the famous step. You can see it in the audience's posture, people leaning forward as if pulled by a rope.
You can see it in the way the camera holds him longer than it should, because the operator can feel that cutting away would be a mistake you'd regret forever. You can almost hear the producers on headsets choosing between control and instinct. He sings the lines clean, but the performance isn't about vocal power in that moment. It's about command. The fedora brim hides his eyes, so the audience has to read his body. The glove flashes like punctuation. The jacket turns every shoulder roll into a spark. Then the setup becomes unmistakable. He reaches up with the gloved hand and touches the brim of the fedora, a tiny motion that functions like a camera cue and a warning at the same time. The beat drops into the pocket. He plants his weight, and the world, for one breath, becomes quiet enough to hear the soles of his shoes. The moonwalk is not a dance move here. It's a physics argument on live television. 1 second he looks like he's walking forward, the next he's gliding backward, as if the stage has betrayed gravity on his behalf. It's so smooth, it feels impossible, and that impossibility is the point, a body doing something a system can't easily explain. The crowd's reaction snaps from applause to shock, from enjoyment to realization. People stand, hands fly to mouths, smiles widen into disbelief. The Pasadena Civic Auditorium becomes a witness stand, and the testimony is unanimous. Something just happened that can't be put back into the box labeled Anniversary Special. On the production side, the consequence is immediate. The camera doesn't cut away because it can't. Directors and operators are trained to chase the story, and in that second, the story is the glide. The no that once controlled the night is now irrelevant because television lives on what it can't ignore. He punctuates the moment, quick spin, a sharp stop, a pose that lands like a stamp, the fedora tip, the glove held just so. The stage lights catch the sequins again, and it looks like the air around him is shimmering. And when he finishes, it's not just applause, it's a release, like a crowd realizing they've survived something powerful. The aftermath begins before anyone leaves their seat. The anniversary show is still going, but the gravity has shifted. Every performer after Billie Jean is now working under a new ceiling. The label's celebration continues, yet the audience's mind is already replaying one sequence of steps, one backward glide, one glove flashing under a TV light. The next morning/week, the change is measurable in culture, not just in ratings. People talk about the move more than the show. Kids try it on living room floors. Dancers study it like scripture. Comedians imitate it. News segments reference it. And the phrase moonwalk becomes shorthand for a kind of impossible cool that doesn't need translation. The system responds the way systems respond when an artist breaks the frame. It tries to absorb the threat as nostalgia. It turns the moment into a clip. It plays it again. It sells it back as part of the legacy it couldn't fully control in real time. Motown, NBC, the entertainment press, everyone recognizes the value of the footage, and value is the system's native language. But the deeper consequence isn't just popularity, it's leverage. After Pasadena, it becomes harder to tell Michael Jackson no the same way again, because no depends on the assumption that the artist needs the platform more than the platform needs the artist. And after Motown 25, that assumption looks outdated on tape. The thesis crystallizes in hindsight, tied to that fedora brim and that red camera light. Power in entertainment isn't owned by the institution that built the stage. It's seized by the performer who can turn the stage into history in 60 seconds. Motown had the brand, the anniversary, the network slot. Michael had the moment, and moments outlive brands. Culturally, the performance lands in a specific American tension, black innovation being celebrated only after it proves profitable, controlled, and safe. Motown itself had navigated that tension for decades, polish as protection, crossover as survival. But on that Pasadena stage, the polish became a blade. The spectacle didn't ask permission, it simply became undeniable. If there was resentment behind the scenes, it would have been the quiet kind, because in show business, anger often wears a smile on camera. The public narrative becomes praise, awe, legendary. Privately, the lesson is harsher. A single televised act can reorder hierarchy faster than a decade of boardroom decisions. And that's why the no matters as much as the moonwalk. The refusal reveals the system's instinct, contain the artist to protect the brand. The glide reveals the artist's counter-instinct, become the brand, in the only language the world can't ignore, an image burned into national memory. In the end, television didn't change forever because a label celebrated itself. Television changed because one performer turned a disputed slot into history, using a glove, a fedora, a bass line, and a backward step that made the camera follow him like it was chasing the future. Motown said no. The Moonwalk answered with a sentence America still repeats without words. Control is temporary. Impact is permanent.